Welcome to the PatTrack 2.0 training site. In this session, we will discuss navigation basics of ListViews in the clinical setting. In PatTrack 2.0, we defined a list view as a tab that is listing multiple records. Most commonly used is our admissions list view as well as our patients list view. This lesson will go over how to filter these list views, how to add columns to these list views, as well as how to remove columns. Throughout PatTrack 2.0, you will be presented with list views in various screens. Again, this admissions list view and patients list view are the most commonly used. Each of these list views also has a row at the top which we call our auto filter row. This is a blank record that's listed at the top, and it will provide a search mechanism for finding patient records in this case, or in the admissions tab for finding admission records. We can turn this auto filter row on and off if we choose by right-clicking in the column heading and by selecting Hide Auto Filter Row. If we need to turn the auto filter row back on, we do the same thing. We right-click in any column heading, and in this case we're going to choose the Show Auto Filter Row. Once this auto filter row is on, it will stay on until you decide to remove it. Again, this is where I can type information to find patient records, find a grouping of patient records, or use a combination of both or of multiple search options. I can find by patient ID or by entering a last name. I also can sort columns in my listing based on clicking the column heading. So in this case, if I want to sort my patient listing by age, I can click my age column heading and sort it ascending or descending. I can do the same with the full name column to sort my list alphabetically. If I want to add a column of information to this listing, I can simply right-click again, only this time I'm going to be selecting the option of Column Chooser. When I click Column Chooser, I'm presented with a small screen that provides additional fields that I can add to my columns. For example, if I want to enter or add the patient's email address to this column, I can simply choose email and drag and drop that column to wherever I choose in the listing. I can do the same thing by double clicking. In this case, if I want to add city to my patient list view, I can double click city and it will automatically be added to the right of my screen. When I'm finished adding columns, I can close the small navigation window for columns. If I want to rearrange columns and move them into different places, I can simply grab a hold of them and drag and drop to wherever I choose. If I've decided that there are columns that I don't need visible on my screen, I can certainly hide them as well. For instance, if I do not want the email column anymore, I can right-click in that column's heading and choose Hide this column. When I hide this column, it goes back to our column listing so that at a later time I can add it again if I choose. I have the option as well of expanding the size of my columns by simply grabbing the borders and moving them however I like. Next, I can filter my columns based on certain criteria if I choose. For example, I can filter my listing of patients based on the city that they live in. To filter, I'm going to go to the column I wish to filter and select the small filter icon located in the column heading. By clicking that, I'm presented with a list of possible values to filter by. In this case, I want to filter by only patients living in Salisbury and Waldorf. We see as I click my options to filter, my list of patients now meets the criteria of Salisbury and Waldorf. If I choose, I can add another city at that time, or I can clear my filter altogether. I can choose to filter by multiple columns as well. If I choose to filter by city, I can select Salisbury and Waldorf again, close my filter, and maybe now I only want to see female patients residing in those cities. So I do the same. I'm going to choose my birth sex column and click the filter icon within that column, and I'm going to choose only female patients. I now have a listing of patients that is primarily filtered by birth sex as well as city. When I have my columns filtered, I can visually see this based on these two columns having a blue filter icon in them, but more importantly, I see my filter down at the bottom of my screen. This is important to remember if you accidentally leave a filter on and are looking for records and can't find them. In many cases, there might be a filter set. Just check your filter at the bottom to make sure that that's turned off. To turn your filter off, you can certainly click the X to remove the filter entirely, or you can go back to your columns that are filtered and simply clear the filter. Depending on the information you're reviewing in your list view, you will have different information to filter by. For example, in our admissions list view, we may only want to filter by a specific case manager. So in this case, I will use my case manager column and click the filter icon located in that column. And in this case, I only want to filter by a specific provider. If I want to filter for more than one provider, I can certainly do that as well. Again, as I'm creating additional filters to my list, I see that they are added down at the criteria are added down at the bottom of my screen. To turn those filters off, again, I can clear filter within the column filter or use the filter at the bottom. In this case, my admissions list view is already filtered by only admitted patients. If I choose to turn that filter off, or maybe look at only referral information or referral records, I can then click my referral checkbox and uncheck my admitted checkbox. And here I am presented with a list of referrals. Again, I can clear that filter. Just as in the patients list view, I have the option of sorting these columns any way I want, as well as rearranging. Again, any list view I'm presented with in PatTrack has the same functionality throughout. In this case, where we're looking at admission records, it may be that I want to look at admissions that are within a certain time frame. So I can use my filter icon to filter by a predefined listing of date options, or I can actually look at specific dates, or furthermore, I can say any dates between two in a between date range. In this example, maybe we want to just look at admissions that are dated for this year, and I only have one record where I have an admission date in this year. I can certainly do additional filters if I choose. I can look at admissions for this year as well as look at admissions for last year. Again, to clear the filter, I can do the same by clicking the filter icon and clear filter. This has been a session on how to navigate ListView information in PatTrack 2.0. If you have additional questions, please feel free to contact us at support@pattrack.info. Thank you.